Hi. I just have a couple of questions of clarification. So,
Sure.
You touched on it a little bit towards the end of your lecture, but if you could describe more, I guess, like elaborate more on what you mean by decency and these fundamental values, especially in light of the statements that you just made in response to the question, not this last question, but before this, recognizing the fluidity of culture and cultural values and the existence of cultures that don't necessarily share the same values, and how do you account for that, moving towards a common set of values? How do you, if you believe that it is useful, develop coalition politics in order to move towards a collective sense of value? How do you reconcile individual motivation if you believe fundamentally?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of complexity here, but yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
so but honestly, I mean, these are high-stakes questions.
Not to go all religious on you, but leaving aside the religious aspects of the Ten Commandments, I think that would be a pretty good place to start with basic decency. Right? Don't steal, don't... I'm a deeply religious person. I'm an Orthodox Jew. I don't think that it's mandated that everybody believe in God, obviously, and I think that, and I understand the arguments for atheism. That said, I think that, basic values that we in Western civilization tend to share, things like you don't get to kill people, you don't get to kidnap people. I think that values that have developed later, anti-slavery values, for example, that are a later breaking development from Western civilization, but have roots in Judeo-Christian civilization. Those are values that are fundamental values of decency. The ones embodied in the Constitution seem to me to be good values. Like, I don't get to harm you because I don't get to use the government as a club against you because I disagree with what you say. I don't get to use the government as a club against you because I disagree with your religious practice that doesn't infringe on me. I have sort of a John Stuart Mill view of interpersonal decency when it comes to governmental intervention, and that is I get to wave my fist around as much as I want so long as it doesn't hit your face.
I just wonder about the slipperiness of that, right? Because that same value system has been used to justify a number of things that I think we would understand to be fundamentally unjust.
Well, give me an example. So as I say, the John Stuart Mill system would definitely not value slavery. I mean, that's not me waving my fist around until I hit your face. That's me putting you in chains. I mean, that's a fundamental human evil because I'm violating somebody else's rights. So it's the basic value that originally springs from the notion that we're all created in God's image, and then consummates in the idea that we're all equal under God, and that we all have equal rights under God. That doesn't allow things like slavery, and it fights against things like slavery. Now, where I think that some people get dicey about this, I don't want to lead you here, but I think that this is where some people get dicey about this idea, is they say, okay, well, what about the things where I'm waving my fist around and I'm not formally hitting you in the face, but you're getting me upset? So, for example, if you have a private business and the private business decides to discriminate against Jews, right, or decides to discriminate against blacks or against gays, right, what would you do about that? So I don't think the government has any business telling private businesses what to do, because I think that capitalism is colorblind, and that means that if somebody discriminates against Jews or blacks or gays, they'll go out of business. There will be other people who offer their services. The problem is once you start to let government or society take a forced stand, an enforced stand as to what quote unquote good behavior is and bad behavior is, you start to get into real trouble. But I think we can all agree what actual harming behavior looks like. Actual harming behavior is not me denying you a service that I don't owe you in the first place. Actual harming behavior is me stealing something from you, punching you, taking your children, something that you have a right to, I'm taking away from you. And you don't have a right to my services. No one does.
So just to be clear, is that something that you would define, as my last question?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you would define in objection, that you set sort of in opposition to things like microaggressions or terrorism that you find to be false on the grounds that they are subjectively offensive? Are the things that you just listed things that you would find to be objectively offensive?
Well, I mean, so now you're getting into a broader question, which is, are any values objective or subjective? All values, I suppose, in the end, are going to be subjective, but I think the ones that we can most easily agree on, and the ones to which there's an objective standard anyway, that doesn't require you to read my mind, let's find a standard where we don't have to read each other's mind. So a standard where I don't have, microaggressions require me to read your mind. I have to try and figure out what's going to offend you and what's not. I don't have to read your mind to know you probably don't want me to punch you in the face. Right? Like there's an objective standard there where I don't have to read your mind. We all sort of agree. And if we can't agree on that, we can't agree on literally anything, and then society's over. So I guess time to buy your food parcels and build your bomb shelters, if that's the case. If we can't all agree it's bad to hit each other in the face, then we have no place to start. Thanks so much.
All right, this will be the